Morphin time! Yeah!
Lord Zed, one of the most powerful Power Rangers villains of all time. Even some experts call him the most powerful villain in history. Although others doubt this data, as it says that he was overthrown by other villains such as the Empire of Machines. Plus there are very powerful villains like Dark Spectre and Rita's father. Even so, he has been one of the most iconic villains of the Power Rangers and is the first to be exclusive to the Power Rangers series in the United States that did not come from Super Sentai. The history of this villain goes back thousands of years when he was Zofram, the ancient guardian of Elter and the mentor of Zardis and Zordon. He proclaimed himself Emperor of Evil and enslaved Goldar and Rita for his purposes of conquest in the universe. At that time, Lord Zed tried to take the Zeo crystal to use them in his evil plans, but the crystal had a protection against the forces of evil and this caused all his skin to burn. This is why Lord Zed has no skin and his body shows the inside of his body such as the fiber of his muscles, his exposed brain, and his metallic bones. He also wears a crown embedded in his body with a long tip that has a Z at the end. He carries a spear with the Z at the tip which helps him channel all his power. His face is covered by a red visor and a kind of metallic mask in his mouth. After so many years of conquering worlds, Lord Zed comes across Earth. He didn't think it was important enough to be worth his attention, so he sends Rita and Goldar to conquer it. After so many failures by Rita, Lord Zed arrives on Earth and punishes Rita by shrinking her and locking her in a space junk capsule and throws her into the depths of space. Lord Zed began to fight the Power Rangers and managed to destroy the Zords, but Zordon and the Power Rangers managed to transform the remains into the Thunder Zords. These were more powerful than the previous Zords, so they were able to start a good fight against Lord Zed. In a desperate attempt, Lord Zed tries to make Kimberly the Pink Power Ranger his wife, and to convert her he sent Goldar to brainwash her. Kimberly started to fall for Goldar's words, but in the end, it was just a deception Kimberly did to give the Power Rangers more time to rescue her, and since then Lord Zed feels more hatred for the Pink Power Ranger. One day, Lord Zed tried to create a group of evil rangers, but Tommy the Green Ranger stopped him to save those humans that Zed was controlling. Then, as revenge, Lord Zed vowed to destroy the Green Ranger, and in this he succeeded, and then tried to brainwash him and make him his heir to the throne, but Zordon got there first and turned Tommy into the White Ranger. Due to the strong battles that Lord Zed had with the Power Rangers, he had to dig up a powerful war machine called Serpentera, which could easily crush the Rangers' Zords, but had the disadvantage that it consumed a lot of their power and the machine could only battle for short periods of time. Given this, Lord Zed had to take his centennial recharge moment, and it is at this moment that Rita manages to escape from the capsule and returns to the moon, where she puts a love potion in Lord Zed's sleep machine. As soon as Zed wakes up, he quickly falls in love with Rita. However, the potion did not work as Rita had hoped because Lord Zed would not allow himself to be manipulated. Now with Lord Zed and Rita fighting together against the Power Rangers, the fights became more difficult for the Rangers. They even managed to create an evil Tommy and even sent the Rangers to the past. Then, Rita's father arrived to the moon, and between the three of them they managed to defeat the Power Rangers, destroying their command center in a failed attempt to obtain the Zeo crystal, although this victory would not last long because then came the Empire of the Machines. After several battles against the Machine Empire and some more against the Power Rangers, Lord Zed and Rita gave up and disappeared for a while. Then in the final battle where Dark Spectre has a great meeting of evil, Lord Zed and Rita appear to help in the battle and are sent to defeat the Gold Ranger. At the moment they catch him, Zordon's sacrifice happens and both are transformed to human beings, and they still kept their love. A love that led them to have a son named Trax, who was born before these events and was upset that his parents were lost in kindness. After many years in the saga of Dino Fury, the current saga of 2022, Lord Zed is resurrected. Although the last time he was seen was in his human form, it is said that they revived his evil side before the wedding with Rita, an eviler and darker Lord Zed with a more destructive power. In these new battles against the Power Rangers, he almost managed to defeat them, but failed, so he teleported away, swearing that someday he will return. Thanks to this, it is said that the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers history will feature several cameos from previous villains and maybe even the return of Zordon. The arrival of Lord Zed to Power Rangers has fans excited for a new battle between Zordon and this villain to relive the old days. Another rumor is that Zordon may return in his physical form to then battle his former master Zophram, or now better known as Lord Zed, to finally avenge the betrayal of the planet Elter and destroy Lord Zed once and for all. This would be an epic and legendary battle for fans and would be an excellent ending for both characters. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content. Rita Repulsa, one of the biggest villains of the Power Rangers, who fought against Zordon to try to conquer the Earth, but who really is Rita? A sorceress daughter of the galactic warlord and sorcerer Master Vile, a feared conqueror of worlds. Rita never knew her mother, but she did know evil and dark magic. She made herself a scepter to channel all her evil power and make her more dangerous to do the same as her father, conquer worlds. She met Lord Zed and began to work for him, conquering the galaxy while gaining fame for her destruction of worlds. Rita was such a powerful villain that she began to create an army that helped her in her conquests until she met Zordon of Elter. If you want to know who Zordon was, you can watch our video with all the history of this powerful character. He started a war against Zordon that would last more than 2,000 years, in which they had legendary battles where both lost part of their armies. Between all this war, Lord Zed sends Rita to conquer the Earth, and she establishes her headquarters of evil on the moon, and Zordon established his on Earth to fight against Rita. In that period, Zordon finds 5 coins of power and Rita found 1 additional coin, the 6th coin, which would give life to the Green Ranger that would help her in the battle to destroy the Power Rangers that Zordon would create with those 5 coins. Before the Green Ranger and Zordon created the Power Rangers, Rita and Zordon were still in their war. Rita started to lose the battle, so she decides to form a plan and tells Zordon she wants to make a peace pact. Her real plan was to get Zordon to let his guard down and trap him in a time warp. But Zordon was prepared and locked her in a space junk capsule, sending the capsule to wander through space for eternity. After 10,000 years, some astronauts found the capsule and removed the seal by mistake, leaving the evil villainess free, who quickly went to the moon to her headquarters, which was abandoned. She managed to gather several of her servants who would help her again to conquer the Earth, and that is when she sent Goldar to destroy the Earth. But she was surprised to find that Zordon had created the Power Rangers, who defeated Goldar and all the monsters that Rita sent. After so many defeats, Rita remembered that she still had the 6th power coin, and with it she created the Green Ranger, an evil ranger destined to destroy the Power Rangers. After many battles, the Power Rangers managed to break Rita's spell on the Green Ranger and turned him to the good side, making him part of the team. After this, Lord Zed was so displeased with Rita's inability to conquer the Earth that he re-imprisoned her in another garbage capsule and started the war against Zordon himself. In less than a year, Rita managed to escape and return to the moon with the help of Finster, who restored her to her normal size, helped her create a passion of love to conquer Lord Zed and convince him to marry her so they could both fight against Zordon. At first it was a sham and she only did it to overthrow Lord Zed, but in time she would abandon this idea and truly love him. After many defeats, Rita's father, Master Vile, arrived on the moon and helped his daughter turn the Rangers into children. At that moment, Rita and Zed took the opportunity to bomb Zordon's headquarters and steal the Zeo crystal. Rita sent her brother Rita Repulsa along with Goldar on this mission. They managed to plant the bomb, but lost the Zeo crystal. Zordon, Alpha, and the Power Rangers managed to survive in a fortified power chamber beneath the Earth and eventually found the Zeo crystals in the rubble. Some time later, Rita and Zed were overthrown by the Empire of the Machines and decided never to face the Rangers again and advised Divatox to do the same. Even so, Rita and Zed joined Dark Spectre to give a final blow to the forces of good throughout the galaxy. At that moment, they met again with Divatox, who had defeated the Turbo Rangers and was full of ego for that. With this, Rita regained the confidence that the Power Rangers could be defeated, so she and Zed worked together to catch the Gold Ranger, but at that moment, the wave of power caused by the sacrifice of Zordon made Rita and Zed to be transformed into good people. After several years, Rita regained her powers, but this time she used them for good and was called the Mystical Mother, appearing in Power Rangers Mystical Force. Goldar's history goes back thousands of years when he began serving Lord Zed faithfully. There is no record of where he comes from or how long he has served Lord Zed. But his appearance in Power Rangers begins when Lord Zed sends Rita to Earth and Goldar with her. When the war between Rita and Zed broke out, the first one to go to Earth to destroy the Power Rangers was Goldar. At the time, the powerful villain was so dangerous that he could defeat all 5 Power Rangers by himself, but when he transformed into a giant he was defeated by the Megazord. Goldar also had a Zord of his own known as Cyclopsis, an ancient war machine, but this Zord was defeated by the Rangers Ultrazord after a long battle. Although, at the beginning of the series, Goldar was a very powerful and dangerous being, he gradually lost power and no longer posed a great threat to the Power Rangers. His physique was similar to an Egyptian cat with a golden armor, red eyes, and wings that appeared and disappeared throughout the series without any explanation. In his personality, he was known for telling Rita what to do, although Rita all the time insulted him. This is why he ended up hating Rita. When Lord Zed came down to the moon, Goldar quickly abandoned Rita for his former master, and Lord Zed gave him back his wings. When Rita returns to the moon and gives a love potion to Lord Zed, Goldar angrily had Finster make another potion to break Rita's spell, but by that time Lord Zed was really in love with Rita, and it was not because of the love potion. This shows the great loyalty Goldar had for Lord Zed and the great contempt he still had for Rita. After many battles and defeats with the Power Rangers, Goldar teamed up with Rita's brother, Rita Repulsa, to plant a bomb in the Power Rangers command center. They also wanted to steal the Zeo crystals, but they lost them along the way. Then the bomb exploded and somehow Goldar and Rita lost their memories. Because of this, they ended up wandering around Angel Grove and met Bulk and Skull and became their servants, since they didn't remember anything and didn't know how powerful they were. Finally, Rita and Lord Zed find them and give them back their memory to help them defeat the Empire of the Machines. In Power Rangers in Space, in the final invasion, Goldar helps Rita and Lord Zed to stop the Gold Ranger. Then occurs the sacrifice of Zordon and the wave that destroyed all the evil beings and managed to transform other beings such as Rita, Lord Zed, and Divatox. At that time, it was not known if Goldar had died or had been transformed. It was not until the era of Power Rangers Beast Morphers that it was known that Goldar had died, because in this season they managed to revive Goldar. By reviving him, he changes his appearance a bit and returns even more powerful than before. He swears loyalty to Evox for reviving him and destroys Sledge for having mocked his loyalty to Evox. Finally, Goldar, now called Goldar Maximus, leads the attack against the legendary Dino Rangers led by Jason, who ends up destroying the villain by combining their weapons and creating the Ultra Blaster, ending Goldar for good. May the power protect them. A typical phrase from Zordon, who was the leader of the Power Rangers, and that's what we typically know about him. But who is he really? Zordon belongs to a planet called Elter, which we will talk about in another video. He is also defined as a mystical galactic sage and a warrior of good who fights against evil. Part of his achievements was to create the Power Rangers. 10,000 years ago, a villain named Rita Repulsa tried to conquer many worlds throughout the universe. Zordon, upon learning of this, objected and started a war against Rita. This war lasted about 2,000 years across different planets where many warriors perished, some at the hands of Rita's servants, such as Night Nasty, who fought against the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. After so many years of fighting, Rita began to serve Lord Zed. He sent her to Earth, so she built her palace on the moon to start her war from there. In that same period, Zordon discovered 5 coins of power and a map in the Desert of Despair, but those 5 coins were not the only ones. There was one more, and that was obtained by Rita Repulsa. After so many years of war, Zordon begins to approach victory and Rita begins to give up. So she tells Zordon that she is going to agree to peace. Because of this, Zordon lets his guard down and Rita banishes him to a place where Zordon exists outside of ordinary time. Zordon is so powerful that he found a way to communicate through a tube of light where his face is projected. He also managed to lock Rita in a capsule which was destined to be locked for eternity. Now, we all know that in the Earth year 1993 Rita's capsule was opened and she returned to her base on the moon to continue her war against Zordon. But this time Zordon was prepared. He had already built his base on Earth and befriended Alpha, who would help him create the Power Rangers. In addition to this, Zordon had positioned weapons throughout the solar system to continue defending the Earth. Several curiosities that we can talk about Zordon is that the phrase, "It's morphing time," that is usually credited to Jason. In reality it was Zordon who said the phrase first and Jason learned it from him. Another thing is that in the first Power Rangers movie from 1995 it is said that Zordon belonged to the Order of Meladon and was considered the best commander in the galaxy. After many years of war against Rita, Lord Zed and several other enemies, between the Mighty Morphin and Turbo eras, Zordon came to an end. Zordon together with Alpha managed to reach his home planet Elter through a time wormhole, but Elter had been invaded by Dark Spectre who locked Zordon in another energy tube that slowly depleted his power and contained lava that slowly filled the tube to kill Zordon. In Power Rangers in Space, the Red Ranger was fighting to save Zordon, but evil had spread throughout space and Zordon gave the order to the Red Ranger to break the energy tube that kept him locked up. Zordon knew that by breaking this tube he would die, but this would create a shockwave that would reach all of space and put an end to evil. This shockwave managed to destroy all the allies of evil and also redeemed Rita, Lord Zed, Divatox, and Astronema. That is how Zordon dies, leaving a legacy and a phrase that says, "My spirit will live forever in all that is good," and because of this phrase there has always been a rumor that someday Zordon will return. Zordon and the Power Rangers had a mutual friend who helped them in every way they needed. Alpha, an advanced robot from another planet who obeyed Zordon's every command and on several occasions was the Power Rangers' mentor. Alpha was programmed to help the Rangers, but also had a good friendship with Zordon and was loyal to him. Although many think that there is only one Alpha, the reality is that there are several and many people can confuse them because they look very similar. The most famous is Alpha 5, the first to appear in the television series. There is also Alpha 6, who was programmed by his brother Alpha 5. These two robots are constantly confused as they are almost the same, but later we will see their differences. Before Alpha 5 appeared in Zordon's life, there was Alpha 4, who was also Zordon's assistant and only appeared in 2 episodes in the entire series. The first episode he appears in is Wild West Part 2, where we get to see an old command center and Alpha 4. The other episode he appears in, only his body appears inside a box in the episode where Goldar and Rita explode the command center. However, it is said that this character was the one who helped Zordon build the command center and found the power coins. There is a very interesting fact about Alpha 4 and Alpha 5, and it is that when Power Rangers started, in the first episodes we can see that the Alpha 5 suit had the shoulders more attached to the arms. Then, in later episodes, we can see that his shoulders changed to be detached from his arms, and this ends up being Alpha's official form. Basically, the production team made a small change to the suit, and Alpha 4 was supposed to have been like that too. But he also had his shoulders detached from his arms, since they used the same Alpha 5 suit to represent Alpha 4, since the first episode where he appears was aired in Season 2. Even so, if we look closely, we can see that there are scenes where Alpha 5 has his shoulders both ways when the scene changes. This happens because the production team used old scenes recorded with the first Alpha 5 suit with the shoulders attached to the arms. When Power Rangers Turbo started, Alpha 5 had another revamped body, but it was still Alpha 5. It was a brighter body with blue parts instead of black, and the lightning bolt on its chest had changed. In addition to this, his head no longer had the small sphere in the center, and his body was thicker. In the third episode of Power Rangers Turbo, Alpha 5 and Zordon went to the planet Elter, but Alpha 6, Alpha 5's brother, appeared. Alpha 6 had the exact same new body as Alpha 5, but his personality was very different. Alpha 6 had a funnier and more masculine voice, as well as having more energetic moves and attitude. This Alpha started from Power Rangers Turbo being an assistant to the Power Rangers, until Power Rangers Lost Galaxy episode number 44, when the ship explodes and the Red Ranger takes him in his transport, but in the middle of another explosion, Alpha 6 is blown away and falls to Earth. After this, Alpha 6 had not appeared anything else in the entire franchise, but after 8 years he returned in episode number 21 of Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, in which Adam the Black Ranger appears. In this episode, Adam needs help with technology, and so he seeks Alpha 6 and reactivates him. This is the episode that many get confused and think is the last episode of Alpha 5, but this is Alpha 6, and although each robot shares the same memories, they are not really the same robot. We can see this at the beginning of Power Rangers Turbo when Zordon and Alpha 5 reappear. At that point, Alpha 6 and Alpha 5 were in the same place. The only difference is that Alpha 5 was wearing his first suit, but the one with the shoulders detached from the arms, which is basically his official suit. In the Forever Red episode we can also see another Alpha, and this one is number 7. Many have said that Alpha 7 is the same as Alpha 5, but with some changes. Alpha 7 has the same body as Alpha 6, but its head is not shiny, it has an opaque color, similar to the first Alpha 5 suit. Still, it is not the same head, since Alpha 5's old head has a sphere in the center and Alpha 7's head does not have the sphere. Another thing that supports the theory that Alpha 5 and Alpha 7 are the same robot, is that his voice is the same as it is played by the same actor, plus his personality should be the same. This is known since in that episode Alpha 7 had more dialogue in a conversation with Cole before entering the briefing room, but they cut that part in post-production. Talking a little more about Alpha 5, it comes from the planet Edenoi and was created by King Lashin. Alpha 4 also comes from the same planet, however, Alpha 6 and 7 are from planet Earth. These are the Alphas that appear in the TV series, but in the comics there are more. Here, we get to meet Alpha 1, a robot that was also built on Edenoi by King Lashin. This robot was built to be a warrior and not a helper like Alpha 5. This is why, at one point, Alpha 1 gets upset with Zordon for not destroying Rita sooner and has a mental breakdown. Because of this, Alpha 1 wants to take down Zordon and the Power Rangers to seek out warriors and destroy evil. Another mention we have of Alpha in the comics is in the universe of Lord Draken, as he had used the parts of Alpha 5 from his world to merge it with Finster and create what would be Finster 5. The last Alpha we have knowledge of is Alpha 55, which appears in Power Rangers Hyperforce. This Alpha was built in the year 3015 and Jen Scotts programmed it to help Power Rangers Time Force. Now, in the photo that appeared from the filming of Power Rangers Cosmic Fury, we can see Alpha 5 in his old costume, as I said before, his official costume. This destroys the theory that Alpha 5 and Alpha 7 are the same robot, unless Alpha 5 only appears in the filming to recreate old memories or an older timeline. The legendary Power Ranger Tommy Oliver. He is the most outstanding Ranger of all time who has participated for more years as a Ranger than anyone else. If we talk about legends of superheroes in any franchise, Tommy is one of the first in that list, and today I'm going to give you a review of his entire history. Let's start with what many already know, and that is the beginning of the Green Ranger. Rita Repulsa, in the middle of the war with the Power Rangers, decides to use her power coin that she had obtained at the same time that Zordon obtained the other 5 power coins that make up the Power Rangers. With this 6th coin, Rita creates the Green Power Ranger, and without realizing it, she created the legendary Ranger, the one that was going to defeat evil for many years and the one that in a parallel universe was going to eliminate her and dominate the world. Tommy Oliver starts out as the Green Ranger, who at first was the enemy of the Power Rangers thanks to Rita's spell, until Jason the Red Ranger defeats him and destroys the spell. In this universe, Tommy decides to join the Power Rangers to fight against Rita, but in a parallel universe Tommy decides to remain attached to Rita despite no longer being under her spell. You can find this story on the channel so you can meet this other Tommy Oliver. In the universe we know Tommy Oliver continued to be the Green Ranger by controlling the Dragon Zord with the Dragon Dagger and defeating Rita in every encounter until his power faded. Then the Power Rangers give him their power so he can go back to being the Green Ranger, and this worked for a while, but this power wouldn't last too long either. Because of this, Tommy was away for a long time until one day Zordon called the Rangers to the command center and introduced them to the new White Ranger, who he named as the new leader of the Power Rangers. This Ranger comes from the white light of good and therefore darkness, and evil cannot corrupt him. This new Ranger has been given the most powerful weapon of all time, a sword called Saba, which had a life of its own, and you can see its history in our channel. Besides that, the White Ranger together with Saba controls the White Tiger Zord, which can transform into warrior mode. This White Ranger also appeared in the first Power Rangers movie in 1995, being the leader of the group and leading them to defeat Ivan Ooze to save the world. Later, with the destruction of the Thunderzords, the Rangers set out on a journey through the Desert of Despair in search of the creator of the power coins, Ninja. With his help, they managed to transform themselves into the Ninja Power Rangers, who get their power from their life force and not from an external source. From this moment on, Tommy becomes the White Ninja Ranger controlling the White Falcon. After Lord Zed turned the Rangers into children and Tommy as a child, he managed to get the Zeo crystals and become an adult again. Goldar and Rita Repulsa exploited the Zordon command center to steal the Zeo crystal, but they did not succeed. This powerful crystal comes from a planet that is in the void because the Morphin Masters destined that universe to perdition because an enemy of theirs used that same crystal, and due to the power it had, the Morphin Masters decided that it was very dangerous. With these crystals, Tommy and the other Rangers became the Zeo Rangers, being Tommy the Red Ranger controlling the Zeo Zord 5 and having a special Zord called the Red Battle Zord. After many battles, the Rangers managed to defeat the Empire of the Machines. But then came an evil pirate who came with the same plans to destroy the Power Rangers called Divatox. With the arrival of this villain, they had to look for a new power, and that is when the Turbo Power Rangers emerged and Tommy started to be the Red Ranger leading the team again. Divatox tried everything to destroy the Rangers and destroy Tommy, but the Rangers always achieved victory. After many years as a Ranger and a great leader, Tommy had to give up his powers as Turbo Ranger, and he ended up choosing TJ, who would become the new Red Ranger. After giving up his power, Tommy went to college to study paleontology, which is the natural science that studies and interprets the past of life on Earth through fossils. Tommy had this fascination with studying fossils and dinosaurs because of his time on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which controlled Zords from the prehistoric era. While researching fossils, Tommy found the red, blue and yellow dino gems, which were remnants of the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. After learning of the power the gems contained, Tommy knew they would be misused if they fell into the wrong hands, so he hid them. While in college, he met Haley, who helped him create the Dino Morphers to create the Dino Thunder Power Rangers. 3 young men found these morphers and became the new Rangers, and later discovered Tommy's past as a Ranger who recruited them to become the Dino Thunder Power Rangers. Tommy obtained another Dino gem and became the Black Ranger with the power of invisibility. Due to various situations, Tommy remained with the transformation for a while until an experiment returned Tommy to his natural state, but breaks his Dino gem in the process. Due to this experiment, Tommy falls into a coma, and in his state, he begins to dream that he has a battle with his 3 former transformations. When he woke up from the coma, his Dino gem was repaired, and now he would have Super Dino mode. In the end, Tommy and the other Rangers had to destroy the Zords and the Dino gems to be able to finish with the villain, and Tommy continued his life as a professor at the university. Although this is the basic story of Tommy, this legendary Ranger has been mentioned a number of times throughout the story, as well as returning to help in big battles such as the Battle of All the Red Rangers and also in the legendary battle. In addition to this, outside of the franchise, Tommy has also participated in small fan-made battles. In the video games, Tommy has always been one of the main characters, and in the comics, we have seen his alternate history as we mentioned at the beginning of this video. For this and much more, Tommy will always be the greatest Ranger that has ever existed in the history of this universe and any parallel universe. When we all started watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, we fell in love with the Pink Ranger, and Kimberly Hart stole our hearts with her sweetness and beauty. Beyond that sweet face is a warrior who has demonstrated the great power of a true ranger. Although her role as the Pink Power Ranger may have seemed very short, like Jason and Zack, Kimberly left the series after 3 seasons. She is the longest-running female Power Ranger as the Pink Ranger and number 4 overall. Her story is not only seen in the TV series, but we can also see her in the comics, in which we have learned more about her life and even a new transformation. When Zordon called the 5 youngsters and chose them as Power Rangers, the story of Kimberly, a girl dedicated to gymnastics to whom Zordon gives the pterodactyl power coin, which was the only flying Zord at the time, began. Her weapon of attack was the power bow, which worked for close combat and long distance. The Pink Ranger suit was distinguished from the other Ranger suits as it was the only suit with a skirt. Although at first, Kimberly is a good-hearted character, she comes across as the typical sweet, but a bit naive girl. Then, after switching bodies with Billy, that helped her create more awareness and become a little more astute and understanding of other people's problems, helping her to see life from another point of view. In addition to gymnastics, Kimberly had also taken dance classes and had been seen with other skills such as designing flower arrangements, singing, and playing the guitar. Her gymnastic skills have helped her in many battles as she uses these skills to better jump and attack her opponents. When Tommy Oliver arrives at Angel Grove School, Kimberly is attracted to him, but the moment Rita casts a spell on Tommy, he begins to behave hostilely towards her. After breaking the spell, Tommy apologizes and they begin a relationship. This relationship grows stronger when Tommy loses his Green Ranger powers and Kimberly still supports him. Unfortunately, when Tommy loses his powers for the second time, he leaves Angel Grove and the relationship also ended. Then Tommy returns as the White Ranger, and they started their relationship again. This relationship has been the most famous of the entire franchise, as in the first Power Rangers movie from 1995. They are also seen together. Despite this, in the Power Rangers Turbo movie, Kimberly appears with Jason the Red Power Ranger and many thought they were together. Plus, when Divatox put a spell on them both, Kimberly told Tommy that she was with Jason. This was said under the spell as Divatox knew this would fill Tommy with jealousy and cloud his judgment. Still, many fans have commented that Jason and Kimberly also had a relationship because of what was seen in this movie and because in Power Rangers ZEO Kimberly sent a breakup letter to Tommy saying she had found someone else. Kimberly's departure from the Power Rangers left a huge void among the fans. As we said at the beginning, Kimberly is a great gymnast and a coach, which sought her to participate in the Pan Global Games held in Florida, USA. Then Kimberly chooses Catherine to replace her, who had already been under the spell of Rita and Lord Zed and had taken Kimberly's coin of power, besides having also had feelings for Tommy. Despite this, when the spell was broken, Kimberly saw something special in Catherine and chose her to be her replacement. Although nothing more is known about Kimberly in the TV series, the Boom Studio comics talk more about her life and what happened after she gave her power to Catherine. After some time, when the Rangers were out of the Earth, Zordon returns to activate the powers of the Pink Ranger that were still latent in her to give a last battle on Earth. Kimberly calls her friends Zack and Trini, who were still on Earth, to join her as the Black and Yellow Rangers. In addition, she recruited 2 brothers to be the Red and Blue Rangers, leaving Kimberly as the leader of the group, being the first female leader of the Power Rangers. This comic shows the events that led Kimberly to write Tommy the letter seen in Power Rangers ZEO and references that the other guy she had a relationship with was Jason. In the multiverse, there is another Kimberly who lived a different story because in that universe, Tommy Oliver, despite breaking Rita's spell, still stays with her to conquer the Earth and then eliminate her and become Lord Draken. If you want to see the full story of Lord Draken, you can search for it on this channel at the end of this video. Lord Draken not only eliminated Rita, but also eliminated several Power Rangers, and because of this Kimberly wanted to attack Lord Draken as revenge, but Draken caught her and enchanted her to be part of his team and turned her into his Ranger Slayer. With this transformation, Kimberly was evil and served faithfully to Lord Draken, in addition to a spectacular costume change which has become very famous among Power Ranger fans. After some events where Kimberly tried to save Lord Draken when he went to the main universe, which is the one we all know, she meets her other self, the Kimberly of this universe, and they fight until the spell she had on Lord Draken is broken. Regretting everything she did, she begins to help the Rangers of this universe in order to defeat Draken. After winning the battle against Lord Draken, Kimberly Ranger Slayer returns to her universe, which was in a deep void, and becomes the leader of a new team of Power Rangers to start a new world. Zack Taylor, or better known as Zack, is the first Black Ranger of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and we are not talking about the color of his skin, but the color of his costume. Personally, this is my favorite Ranger of all time, so for me it is an honor to introduce you to his story. Zack was the second in command in the Mighty Morphin after Jason the Red Ranger, all this, until Tommy Oliver arrived as the White Ranger, which Zordon put as leader, and Jason became the second in command. Zack's animal is the Mastodon, and his weapon is a very powerful axe that becomes a type of energy cannon, which is the beginning of the combination of all the Rangers' weapons to form the Power Blaster. In the comics, Zack has also been the Pink Ranger, the Green Ranger, and the Black Omega Ranger. Speaking of his personal life, Zack was a young man with some problems at home, but was still quiet and joking. Although he was very hesitant to have friends at first, he met Jason and the other Rangers at Angel Grove and gradually developed more. He is a young man who likes holidays like Halloween, although he is afraid of spiders and snakes. Zack likes to dance a lot, and what he did was to combine dancing with martial arts and invented a fighting style called hip-hop Kido, which he also teaches to others. He spends most of his time practicing martial arts with Jason and Tommy, as well as teaching dance to other students. When the war between Rita and Zordon started again after Rita escaped from her confinement, Zordon chose 5 young men to be the Power Rangers, and one of those was Zack, who at first was not sure if he could be a Ranger because he was an insecure young man at the beginning of his life due to the problems he had at home. Then he decided to commit to being a Ranger and accepted the mission to save the planet. With this he becomes the Black Ranger of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with the Mastodon Power Coin, which controls the Mastodon Dinozord. In the comics, during a mission, Zack controls the Megazord and they defeat Rita's monster while Jason helps from the ground. At the end of the battle, everyone celebrates Jason's performance, but not Zack's, and therefore he feels a bit of jealousy within himself. Rita takes advantage of this jealousy and chooses him to be the first Green Ranger, since at this point Tommy had not yet appeared. When Rita makes the offer to Zack, he was tempted, but he rejected Rita and tried to steal the Green Ranger's power coin, but failed. Then Zack confessed everything to Zordon, and this story stayed between them and no other Ranger knew about it. Because of this whole event, when Tommy joined the team as the Green Ranger, Zack questioned Tommy's loyalty many times and if Rita could still control him. This is why, at first, they have several confrontations, but then they begin to trust each other little by little. Later, when Lord Zed arrives and destroys the Zords, Zordon gave the Rangers the new Thunderzords and Zack had control of the Lion Thunderzord. Zack's last mission with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was to find the Light Sword, which is used to transfer powers from one Ranger to another when their powers come from one of the 5 power coins. The 6th coin has no connection to this sword. This mission was because Zack, Jason and Trini would travel to Switzerland and had to transfer their powers to other young people, and Zack managed to transfer his powers to Adam, who would become the new Black Ranger and would be a very important and beloved character in the saga. Despite Zack having passed his powers to Adam, Zack has appeared as a Black Ranger in several seasons where fights have been given along with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, as was the famous legendary battle, or the battle in which Jason summons his team to defeat Goldar Maximus. Trini Kwan, the Yellow Power Ranger in Mighty Morphin, is one of the most remembered characters in the history of the franchise, not only for her emotional strength and her big heart for wanting to help others, but also for the unfortunate event of the tragic death of the actress who played this character, Thuy Trang. Although many think she was a Japanese or Chinese actress, she was Vietnamese American. She was born in 1973 and died in a car accident in 2001 at the age of 27. Trang was the last Asian actress to play a Yellow Ranger, since Asian people are derogatorily called yellow, and casting an Asian to play the Yellow Ranger offended many people. Speaking of the character, Trini was a quiet person, eager to help others and very strong emotionally. She was the 16-year-old daughter of a Taiwanese doctor and a Korean woman, who lived in 8 military bases for the past 15 years due to her father's work. Although she wasn't Chinese, nor Japanese, she still practiced many customs of these countries. When Zordon decided to choose Trini as a Power Ranger, he transported her to the command center along with her other friends. Some did not decide to believe in what was happening, but Trini decided to believe in Zordon and stayed at the command center to accept the challenge of being a Power Ranger. Quickly after agreeing to be a Ranger, Zordon transports her back to Angel Grove, where she had her first battle with Rita's warriors. At first it was difficult for her, but then she activated her morphosis and became the first Yellow Ranger of the entire franchise. With her morph now complete, she was able to defeat the enemies and master her battle mode well. Although Trini was not as gifted in intelligence as Billy was, we know that she was very intelligent. Because of this, Trini did things like changing the language of Alpha 5 to a language more up to date to that year. Despite being a brave young woman, Trini was afraid of heights, which led her to have many challenges. Rita took advantage of any weakness she could use against her. She was also challenged by her lack of self-confidence, which was due to Rita's spells, but Trini overcame it time and time again. One of the biggest challenges she had was when Rita took all of the parents, including Trini's parents, and this devastated her. Rita gave them a choice between their parents or the power coins, and Trini chose to give up her power coin. At the end of it all, they managed to get the parents back and also the power coins to continue fighting against Rita. Although this does not appear in the TV show, in the comics we are told that Trini was in love from the beginning with Jason, and they managed to kiss when their powers were exchanged, and she was the Red Ranger. After this, Trini and Jason thought it would be a bad idea to be together, since that could be a weakness that their enemies would use to attack them. Trini was a very attached person to her friends. She supported them in every event they had and was always there for them. She was very close to Kimberly, as they were the only two female rangers on the team, and both worked hard to help clean up the environment. She was also close friends with Billy, as they both had their great intelligence in common, and Trini would help Billy translate all the technical words in the speeches he gave about his inventions, and she would explain it in simpler words. In addition, she also helped him study for his exams and helped him with his projects. When Trini made her transfer of power to Aisha, the explanation that she, Jason and Zack gave was that they were going to a World Peace Summit in Switzerland, but in reality, they were going to form a new group of rangers guided by the Blue Emissary, who was a representative of the Morphin Masters. If you want to know more about the Morphin Masters, you can search for this video in our channel. The Blue Emissary had asked Jason to help him repair all the damage that had happened in the grid due to the event with Lord Draken. The mission was to find people who had suffered changes and help them understand what was happening to them and guide them on the right path. When Jason heard about this mission, he wanted to do it alone or find a team other than his current Mighty Morphin team, as he didn't want to involve them because he knew this mission was going to be hard. Still, at one point Jason was in the command center talking to the Blue Emissary, and Trini and Zack walked in and saw them. Eventually, due to Trini's loyalty to her friends, she wanted to get involved with the new team, and they both told Jason that they would not leave him alone in this new mission. The three of them quickly took off into space to other planets in search of people who needed help. In one of the planets, they met Kia, an alien woman who had some great powers, but she didn't understand what was happening to her. The people of her village wanted to burn her as they thought she was a witch, but Jason, Trini and Zack arrived to save her. Still, Kia gets desperate and creates an explosion with her powers and then hides. While Jason and Zack try to save people from the explosion, Trini was the only one who could convince Kia that they were there to help her and invited her to go with them in the ship. After having been through several worlds battling, they realize how great Kia's power is and invite her to join the new team they were forming. This new team was taken to a place deep in space by the Blue Emissary, who presented them with the gauntlets of the first Rangers, which had powers that came from wind, earth, water and fire. Trini along with the others took their gauntlets and became the Omega Rangers, Trini being the yellow Omega Ranger with the power of Earth. Later, Jason would lose his connection to the Morphin grid and Trini would take the lead as the red Omega Ranger. William Billy Cranston, or better known as the Blue Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, is one of the most beloved characters in the entire saga and the entire franchise. This character clearly represents all those people who are intelligent and studious, but a bit withdrawn and unsociable. The evolution that this character had was one of the greatest in the whole saga, and the change that he gave when he transformed with the morph was greater than that of any ranger, since when he was not in the morph, he was a person who was not very good at fighting, besides wanting to seek to resolve conflicts in a more intelligent way without having to reach violence. Although 30 years have passed since his first appearances, the fans still remember him in a very special way, since in every event that this character has appeared, the fans acclaim him. Billy is so smart that he helped Alpha repair many things in the command center, a more advanced technology, and yet Billy could still work with it. In addition, he also created the communicators for all the Power Rangers of his season and helped create technologies that they would later use. When Zordon chose him to be the Blue Ranger, he gave him the Triceratop coin, which controlled Triceratop Dinozord. The helmet of his suit has been one of the most emblematic of the series, in addition to his weapon, which is a power spear that can be used together as a single spear or split into two parts. This spear has at the end of each side 3 points like a small trident, and when attached to the power blaster also launches energy beams. At first Billy was very shy and avoided trouble, so he was bullied a lot, and Trini the Yellow Ranger defended him all the time. Then Jason taught him to fight and defend himself, and little by little he became a stronger and less shy character. Even so, since he was a child, he had a phobia of fish, and Rita took advantage of this and created a monster in the shape of a fish. That monster had hurt the other Rangers except Billy, and in addition to his phobia of fish, Rita had put a spell on him to exaggerate his fear even more. So that day Billy had to overcome Rita's spell and overcome his fear of fish and defeat the monster to save the other Rangers. Each Ranger had his special ability, and Billy's was to invent things, and one of his most important inventions was the Rad Bug, which was a car that could go from 0 to 3,000 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. This car allowed the Rangers to transport themselves to the command center when the communicators were damaged. After many battles with Rita and Lord Zed, and having passed from the Thunderzords, Billy along with the other Rangers go in search of Ninja for the new power. Ninja turned them into the Ninja Rangers, and Billy received the Ninja Zord Wolf. This Zord has been one of the most iconic of the whole franchise. After a while and many battles, Lord Zed, Rita and Goldar managed to steal the ninja coins and destroyed them. With the coins destroyed, Billy decided to retire as a ranger and dedicate himself to only serve as an advisor. In the time of the Zeo Rangers, Billy helped them on several occasions with different technologies, and although it was thought that he was the Golden Ranger, he confessed that it was not really him. Despite this, the other Rangers wanted him to be the replacement for Trey, the original Golden Ranger, but Billy had to give up that role to Jason, since due to the explosion of the command center, he had negative proton energy, and this prevented him from using the transformation. After this, Billy went to Aquitar to stop his aging and fell in love with a woman from that planet. Billy has also been seen in other episodes that have featured the entire Mighty Morphin team, such as the legendary battle and when Jason gathered his team to defeat Goldar Maximus. Now we have his appearance in the 30th anniversary of the franchise. Most kids, even adults, almost always, their favorite ranger is the Red Ranger. Not just any Red Ranger, but Jason, the Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In several rides, this Ranger has always come out as the #1 in the entire history of the franchise, and as stated in the first Power Morph icon, Jason still holds this title. Jason is the leader of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and is the Ranger who has defeated the most villains by himself. He is also the only one who defeated Tommy Oliver in a fight. Before becoming a Ranger, he was dedicated to martial arts in Angel Grove until Zordon selected him along with his 4 closest friends to be a Power Ranger, but not just any Ranger, the leader of the group and the most powerful. So, why did Zordon choose him as the leader? When Zordon and Alpha 5 make the call to the 5 young men and tell them about the power, Jason is the only one who initially believes it, and that is why Zordon gives him the power coin of the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Dinosaur. After obtaining this power, they begin their battles with Rita, who had sent Goldar to destroy the Earth until the Power Rangers, led by Jason, defeated the monster. Although, at first glance, Jason seems like a typical athlete who is only interested in sports, inside, he is a kind person who likes to help others, and that is why he protects Billy and also teaches him martial arts so he can defend himself and builds his confidence. In addition to his martial arts skills, Jason does weightlifting and is certified as a scuba diving instructor. After many battles against Rita, one day a new student arrives to the school, Tommy Oliver, who began to be the only one who could be a competition for Jason in martial arts. This is why Rita bewitches him and turns him into the Green Ranger to defeat the Power Rangers. Rita captures Jason and locks him in the Dark Dimension after stealing his morpher, plus he had to fight Goldar to get it back. Rita then sends the Green Ranger to destroy Jason, but Alpha 5, Trini and Billy manage to get Jason back before Tommy could harm him. Later, Jason confronts Tommy on Earth and finally defeats him in combat when he throws his energized power sword at the Green Ranger, disarms him, and then uses his blade blaster to destroy the Sword of Darkness that Rita had given Tommy. That was the sword that kept Rita's spell on Tommy. Now without the sword, Jason then invites Tommy to join the Power Rangers and use his powers against Rita. Later, Rita makes a green candle with special wax that had been enchanted with Tommy's touch when he was evil. Once lit, the candle continues to burn until it goes out, and when it goes out, so do Tommy's powers. When Tommy is near the candle, it accelerates the melting process. Goldar captures Tommy and places him near it. However, he eventually escapes and Jason stays behind to retrieve the candle. Jason does well in his fight with Goldar, but is called into battle with Rita's monster Cyclops to save Angel Grove. After the failed destruction of the green candle, Tommy entrusts Jason with his power coin to prevent it from falling back into Rita's hands, giving him access to the Green Ranger's powers, including the Dragon Shield and Dragon Dagger, which also allows him to summon the Dragon Zord to aid the Rangers, even while Jason controls the Megazord, making it twice as powerful. One day, Goldar kidnaps all the parents of the students at Angel Grove School and tells Jason that if he wants to get the parents back, he must hand over all the power coins. So, Jason very cleverly delivers the 5 power coins, but he never gave him the Dragonzord coin. Thanks to this, Tommy recovers his power and then recovers the power coins of the other Rangers to also help the team to recover the parents of Angel Grove. This shows the great leadership that Jason has. When Lord Zed arrives to the moon and banishes Rita, as we talked about in the video of the whole history of Lord Zed, he creates some patrollers with his brand that are stronger and more powerful and sends them to the Earth to destroy the Rangers. In addition to this, Lord Zed destroys the Zords, including Jason's Dinozord. However, then appears the new Zords called the Thunder Zords, in which was Jason's new Zord, the Red Dragon Thunder Zord, which transformed into a humanoid form and could fight against any villain by itself, separated from the fusion of the Megazord. Unfortunately, Tommy loses his Green Ranger powers again and Jason feels great guilt for that. Then, Lord Zed takes advantage of this and creates some candles for the other Rangers and steals their power too. But Jason, with the help of Zordon, manages to defeat and save his friends. After these events, Zordon gives Tommy the power of the White Ranger and names him the new leader of the group. Jason accepts this and becomes the second in command. Tommy was very confident in Jason's experience as a leader and was always looking out for him. Some time later, Jason, Trini, and Zack had to go to Suiza, and because of this they had to leave the team. Then, Zordon chose their successors, choosing Rocky as the new Red Ranger. It is believed that because Rocky had big shoes to fill as Jason was the #1 favorite Power Ranger of all time, Rocky became the least liked Power Ranger of the entire saga, even after appearing in the Best Power Rangers movie in 1995. In Power Ranger Zeo, there is the Gold Ranger or the Golden Ranger, which was represented by a being who was prince of the planet Trifonia called Trey, who was injured and needed someone to replace him as Gold Ranger. Then, this power was given to Jason, who returned to be the second in command of the team. On one occasion when Tommy was kidnapped, Jason had to be the leader. In addition to this, it is seen throughout the series that Tommy relied heavily on Jason's advice for leadership decisions. At the end of Zeo, Jason returns the Gold Ranger powers to Trey, their original bearer, due to the fact that the powers of this Ranger were not meant for humans. Jason was already feeling the weight and weariness of these powers. Despite this, Jason suffered no injury and was able to transfer the powers safely and then went on his way. Jason also had an appearance in the Power Ranger Turbo movie, which also appears with Kimberly. They fight alongside the Power Rangers against Divatox, villain of the Turbo Rangers. He also had another appearance in Power Rangers Wild Force when they made the special Forever Red, in which he appeared with his original Mighty Morphin power, along with other Red Rangers, among which was also Tommy as Red Ranger of the Turbo Rangers. In Power Rangers Super Megaforce, which was the best Power Rangers episode of all time, Rangers from many different eras united to defeat the army of villainous robots. Among all those Rangers were all the Mighty Morphins, including Jason. Unfortunately, the original actor playing Jason could not be in this episode, and this is why Jason always appears already transformed. This episode also features Tommy as the Green Ranger, and he joins Jason to make spectacular moves and gives all of us fans a taste of nostalgia that will make your skin crawl. This is why this episode becomes the best of all time. In 2020, Jason made his last appearance, so far. In Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Jason returns to fight against his old enemy Goldar, who was now called Goldar Maximus. Jason calls his old team to help him fight Goldar, and all the Power Rangers unite to destroy him.